What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and we are back with some bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. There's some very good European MMA going on this week, especially, I would say, and there's also, you know, your weekly UFC card as well, which is going down. But I'll be honest, I'm more interested in European MMA this week. I have 5 bets for you as always, and we're going to get into them. But first, unfortunately, we have to look back on last week, as you know, every week. I'll be honest, not a banner week for the bets last week. We got none right. I think it's only the second time this year that we've got none right. I had a few comments thrown around, you know, oh, Sean, you're never watching the show again. Right. If you don't have a bad week, you're probably lying to yourself. You're probably not trying enough. You're probably not trying to hit the bets, trying to hit good prices enough. We'll bounce back. I promise. I don't promise. We might bounce back. Oh, hopefully we bounce back. But we've had a pretty good year so far. I'll be honest, like the last few weeks haven't been amazing. Like all of our fights fell out last week. So we only got 1 out of 2 bets. We only hit 1 bet the week before. But like we've had 3 out of 4. We've had 4 out of 4. We've had 3 out of 4 a couple of times over the last 2 months. So we're not doing too badly. This is one of the top 2 worst weeks so far. So let's turn it around and let's get good again for next week. So the bets, just to go through them like you do every week. I had Joe Pyfer to win by KO. It looked like it was going that way, but then his leg got kicked itself, and then he went for the takedown and got the submission. So he did get the finish, but unfortunately he didn't get the KO. Magic Rosansky, another guy who almost got the KO over Yak Shimuradov in the second round, but other than that, he was kind of dominated in the fight. Like, I thought he would actually do better, if I'm being honest, in the kind of the all-around boxing game, but the power call was the right call. It's just he wasn't able to get him out of there. And again, the takedown run was there. Echo Ronnie, I call that completely wrong, if I'm being honest. I thought he was going to bounce back there. He didn't. Fremenov got finished in, 62 seconds or something like that. Again, caught with a submission. The submissions killed me this week. And I had Grant Dawson via knockout as well. And that did not happen, as we all saw some. You know, I had 2 main events that were massive underdog wins. And that those are the ones that kill you, really. Like, the other ones I can understand, but like those are the ones that really do kill you. And that killed me last week. But as I say, we bounce back this week. We go at it again, and we look forward to getting our bets right this week. So I'm going to start at Cage Warriors. I have a couple from Cage Warriors. I've one from the UFC, and then I have a couple from KSW as well. First Cage Warriors bet I'm going with is Ryan Shelley. I really like this fight against Jordy Bakkes, and I favour him to win this at minus 180 in this one. Now, as I record this, these betting odds have only been out for Cage Warriors for 5 or 6 hours. So keep an eye on these betting odds and let's see where they move, because as I said, they haven't been out for long, and we will they will probably be moving. They'll probably be moving around, and we'll see where they go. But that is the opening odds for that one. The reason I'm going for that, I don't know if you watched my preview show or not, but it was it's a very interesting matchup for Ryan Shelley, because Ryan is the type of guy, so he comes from a very much a striking background, taekwondo background, but in his last few fights, look, if you come from that sort of background, what's going to happen? People are going to try to take you down. You're going to have to fight that way all the time. But his opponent in this fight, Jordy Bakkes, is a guy who, I watched a few of his fights, and in it they called him a judo guy. But you'd never know that if you had the sound off. He doesn't fight that way. He seems to have no interest in that. Loves striking. He's a wild striker. And to be honest, I don't think he is the best striker in the world, right? He also gets taken down himself, and we've seen Ryan Shelley get a few lads to the ground in his recent fights. I actually think if Bakkes even did go for the takedowns, I still think he'll have issues taking Ryan Shelley down. Now, Shelley lost his last fight against Tobiasz Harila, but Harila is just a really, really good fighter. Like he had an opportunity in the UFC. I think, I don't know if he got injured or whatever it was, and he's back in Cage Warriors at the moment now. Got injured again actually there a couple of weeks ago. But he's a guy who you will see in the UFC in a while. And actually, I think Ryan Shelley is a guy who you will see in the UFC as well. Actually, Graham Boylan said that to my colleagues over in the Old Triangle podcast this week as well, that he is one of the guys he thinks who he will see there. So Ryan Shelley's coming off of a loss, and I think that's why his price is probably minus 180. If he'd won his last fight, I think he'd probably be minus 350-ish coming into this. And that loss doesn't take a whole lot away from him, because it was a little bit of a step too soon. He spoke this week that he had a broken nose coming into that. It was broken again in it. So it's not a fight you write off, absolutely not. But it's not a fight you would... It's not a stick you beat him with kind of thing. He's still a very good fighter. I don't think he's lost out anything apart from maybe a title shot, unfortunately, in this card. Because of that, he's still very, very good, and this is going to be a bounce back for him. I think it's a good matchup to bounce back for. I think it's... So, as I said, it's a guy who'll strike with him, and he's not used to guys striking with him almost. And that's going to be, in my opinion, a massive boost for him. He's going to be able to show the best of him. He's very rarely able to open up and show the striking. And that's what he's best at. And maybe people don't know that because we don't see it that often from him, because simply we can't. He's to find other ways of doing it, and he does find ways. But I think this is the sort of fight where Ryan Shelley really puts on a show. Bakkes is going to come to fight. Bakkes is a good fighter. I take nothing away from him, but you don't want to fight Ryan Shelley on the feet. And if you do, you're going to pay the price, I think. And even with that said, if he does try to wrestle him, if he does try to use his judo, I think he's going to have issues anyway, because Shelley has very good takedown defense. He's very good at turning around those kind of judo positions, getting on top of you and winning fights there as well. So I think it's a bad matchup for Jordy Bakkes. I think it's a very good matchup for Ryan Shelley. And I think that minus 180 is a fantastic price. That's a price you're only getting because of what happened in his last fight. You're only getting that. I don't think that last fight has made him a worse fighter. In fact, I think it'll bring him on. You look at his brother he fought a couple of weeks ago, Adam Shelley. And he lost 2 of his first 4 fights in his career, if I'm not mistaken, and has gone on a great run since then. Looks now to be a top prospect as well. And that camp, Team KF, are a very, very good camp, and they know how to turn guys around coming off of losses, and I think Ryan Shelley will do that. He is minus 180 for that one. Right, that's bet number 1. So that's an Irish guy I gave. I'm going to give a guy against an Irish guy here. I'll probably get killed, but I'm being honest. I'm giving 2 of my bets this week are against Irish guys. So there's that. This one, though, this is a price-based bet again, and I'm going for Samir Kadi against Paddy McCorry. He's 4-1 is Kadi. Paddy McCorry is 3-1, and the price on Kadi is plus 160. And I'm giving it based on that price. Like, when I watched both of these guys fight, and I did if you haven't seen the preview, I had Ian on this week, and Ian O'Neill said to me he reckons Paddy McCorry will be a middleweight champion in Cage Warriors, and I said to him, I reckon Samir Kadi will be a middleweight champion in Cage Warriors. And you know what? I think we could both be right. These guys are top up-and-coming pros. These guys are both very, very good. And the reason I'm going with Kadi is I just think he's a little bit ahead. Like, I could see this being a rematch in a couple of years down the line, maybe not even that long, for the title. I really, really could see that. I think they both have top-level top-level Cage Warriors ability at the moment, and then obviously the improvements will have to come to get to the top level. But you know what I mean, top-level prospect ability at the middleweight division. And to me, they're both similar fighters, right? But I just think Kadi is like a little bit smoother, and that's the reason I'm picking him. So Kadi's the fight. I've said in the previous show, Kadi reminds me a bit of Mounir Lazzez, but maybe more of an outside fighter than Mounir Lazzez. He's tall, he moves well on the outside, big power. He can take you down, he's good on top. McCorry, very similar, fights well on the outside, explodes inside, switch stances, hands down on the outside again. And honestly, it's if anyone knows me and loves the type of fighter I love, it's the Wonder Boys, the MVPs, and that sort of fighter, the Cyril Gagnes. They're more Gagne, more Lazzez than they are Wonder Boy or anything like that. They're not, not karateka type of fighters, but they're that sort of outside, hit you hard, knock you out type of fighter. I think someone is going to get knocked out in this. They're too big, too tall, too attacking for someone not to get knocked out in it. And it really could be either guy. But the reason I'm giving Kadi, right, I said it's a price. When I watched the two of them fight, and I said, I think Kadi is that little bit ahead. You know, he's one fight ahead in his career. If this was maybe another year for McCorry into his career, maybe another 3 fights, I think it might be a little bit different then. I just think Kadi is a little bit of a better athlete. And as I said, I went to say this thing 3 times. I was expecting when the betting odds came out, it'd be Kadi maybe minus 200. And it'd be McCorry like coming in at, you know, the plus 163, 160 type of range, which I think would have been fair. And the fact that it's switched around and it's plus 160 for Kadi and not maybe minus 200 or not plus 160 for McCorry, I think you have to jump on that. I really do. I wouldn't go out here as far as to say it's a guarantee at all. I wouldn't go out as far as to say this guy has a higher top level than McCorry. I just think at the moment he is slightly ahead. I think he's slightly smoother. And you know what I do think? One big pro or plus for Kadi, not even over McCorry, but just for himself, is his athletic ability. We see it all the time, 185 pounds, or we see the opposite of that. We rarely see a very good athletic fighter at 185 pounds. And when we do, they usually get pretty far. Look at Chris Weidman. Look at Adesanya. Look at Luke Rockhold. Look at Pereira. Look at someone like Johnny Eblen. Look at Magic Norby coming up in Bellator at the moment. Those are the sort of guys you look at and go, those are top level athletes. They can go a little bit further. For me, that's where I put Kadi, and I think that's why he'll get the win here. I think that athleticism mixed with his ability will get him the win. Plus 160. The crew over in up the north in McCorry will kill me, but look, I have to call it as it is. If I'm wrong, look, it's a win-win for me. If I'm wrong, the Irish guy will win. If I'm right, I'm right. So there we go. Right. The next bet I'm going to pop over to the UFC, and I'm going for the main event. I really like this bet. I really like it. Sodiq Yusuff, Edson Barboza. I'm going for the over 2.5 rounds at minus 125. The over 2.5 rounds minus 125. Yusuff, 46% of his fights have gone to a decision as wins. Half of his fights, he's only 2 losses. 1 went to decision. Edson Barboza, 45% of his losses have gone to decision. 35% of his wins have gone to a decision. He went to decision against Bryce Mitchell a couple of fights ago. Okay, he's got a couple of knockouts and lost a couple of knockouts recently as well. With Yusuff, he got a submission in his last fight, but before that, it was 3 decisions in a row. Before that, there was 1 knockout and then 1 decision as well before that. So, you know, it's 50-50-ish in terms of the amount of times they go to a decision. But with that said, I think this is going to be a longer fight. I think Yusuff has shown, and this is both a positive and a negative. He's shown a lot of respect to his opponents, you know, and he said it before in the post-fight press conferences that, like, you know, I was in there and maybe I could have gone to the next level. Maybe I could have done something a little bit extra. I talked to my guy Spencer Kyle about it on a podcast a while back now at this stage, and he kind of said to me, like, there just seems to be a little in the tank for Yusuff. I think was the way he kind of put it. It's like, this guy is really, really, really talented, and when that hits, okay, maybe he'll go to the next level. I'm not sure he has hit that yet. You know, went in there with Aaron Allen, lost. He got the decision over Caceres, and then it was obviously a drop down in opponent in Don Shannis the last time out. Now this is a jump up in opponent again. But what I think he shouldn't lose out of that mindset is when you're fighting a guy like Barboza, you cannot be as gung-ho maybe as people might want him to be in search of a finish. I think he's a very smart fighter. I certainly don't think he's a stupid fighter. And I think against a guy like Barboza, Yusuff is going to fight that smarter game. Like, what's the prevailing wisdom of fighting Edson Barboza? Right, the prevailing wisdom is probably don't strike with him, take him down, wear him out. Right, maybe he'll be able to take him down. I'm not sure it'll be like one of them. I think he will strike with him for a good while. So it's not, I don't think he'll completely wrestle him, and maybe he will, we'll see. But I think the game plan, the prevailing wisdom will be to tire him out. You know, jab him from the outside, get him walking around, have him throw his big shots, have him whiff on those big shots, miss him, and then win rounds 3, 4, and 5, or maybe get the late finish. That, I think, is the prevailing wisdom, and should be the prevailing wisdom against someone like Barboza. For Barboza, like, he is a guy who has the ability at any one stage to land a flying knee or a wheel kick and knock you out. But let's be honest, he hasn't done that loads lately. He knocked out Billy Q, he knocked out Burgos, 2 brilliant wins. I'm not painting them away at all. But the last time he finished someone other than that was Dan Hooker in 2018. That's 6 years ago. That's 2 knockout wins in 6 years. So it's not exactly a whole load. And, you know, he's fought 7 or 8 times in that space, maybe 8 or 9 times. So he is a devastating, brilliant striker. I'm not taking anything away from Edson Barboza, but it's not as if he's guaranteed a knockout. Like, he went in there with Chikadze, lost. Went in there with Michal, lost a decision. Won a decision against Samir Kani. You know, lost a couple of decisions against Felder and Ige. Knocked out by Gaethje and things like that. So, could Yusuff knock him out? Absolutely. That's a thing that can happen too. But I've already said my opinion on that is Yusuff will try to maybe work him a little bit more. Maybe rather than the 100% punches, there might be 75% punches over a longer time to wear him out, to where you get to a stage where you'd back your cardio over his cardio. And that leads to a longer fight. Now remember, this is 5 rounds as well. So I really like that over. I really like it. I think Yusuff will be, trying to win over a long period. I think he'll be trying to avoid Barboza's big shots. I think Barboza will be trying to throw him. When he doesn't land him, he'll get tired. And it could be a later finish. Now, let's just... I look at while I'm on this, I look at the other prices on it. Because this was one I went back and forth. No, I didn't go back and forth on it actually, but I went back and forth on which bet like this I would pick. The fight to go to a decision, plus 200. Love that, really, to be honest. Love that. I think it does go to decision. If I had to guess, I think it does go to decision. One of the other bets I was looking at was Yusuff to win by a decision, which is plus 240. Now, if you're going for that, you might as well just go for the decision straight up at plus 200. But I like that bet. If we're going for a straight money line bet, 2.5 rounds, so you're taking away, a round and a half off it, or 2.5 rounds off it. What was it? So it's the middle of the third, 4/5, yeah. So 2.5 rounds off it. And you get, a bit of a change in the price from plus 200 to minus 125, but I could see the late finish as well. I really could. I like that minus 125. The over 3.5 rounds is plus 110. I'll be honest, I like that as well. I actually liked over 1.5 rounds at minus 275 as well. I think they're all good prices. Whichever one you pick there, I just gone for kind of the middle one there. I like them all. If you like to go for decision as well, I would go for that if you fancy that one. But that's the one I've gone for, minus 125, over 2.5 rounds. Right. The next fight I'm going for is, and it pains me to say this, but I'm going for Tobiasz Lee to beat Karl McNally, another Irish guy picking against. I get killed again. But it's again a price bet here. Tobiasz Lee is plus 130. I think that's a bit mad. It's minus 175 for Karl McNally. When I did the preview for this, I was humming and hawing about who I would pick. I thought maybe, like, honestly, this is the type of fight you look at, and there's a fight here. What fight is it? Graba against Drekovic. It's minus 111, right? That's the type of price I was thinking I would see here. Even the bookies might take a bit off. They might go minus 115 type of thing. But when there's plus 130 for one of the two guys in that's the type of price you go for. And I'll be honest, like, I think I picked Karl McNally in the previous show, but I watched, someone actually sent me a clip after watching it and goes, "Here, have you seen this Lee fight?" And I watched it and I'm like, "Ooh, this guy is even better." And it was a let's put it a non-YouTube clip. let's put it that way. And he is very good. Now, Carl McNally can come on. I'm definitely not ruling Carl McNally out. It's not like this is a guaranteed bet again, but it's a price bet. I really like this price at plus 130. Lee is he's again. It's like the other fight. He's young, and he is fast, as is Carl McNally, young but fast, athletic, competitive, 29 years of age. Do you know what he is as well? For a guy who is, okay, he's 29, so he's not the youngest, but a long amateur career. For a guy who's only, let me just see here, 4 fights into his career, McNally 3 fights into his career. I think the advantage of that long, I know Carl McNally has a lot of amateur fights as well, don't get me wrong, but I do think there is a bit of an advantage there for Lee. He's dangerous as well. He's a knockout artist, big knees, very good kickboxing game. And I think a guy like McNally, who is wild, and he has, he's the guy, if you don't know him, maybe he has the rolling thunder armbar. He has the helicopter guillotine. You've probably seen the clips of him on YouTube. Very, very, very good. Wild fighter. A guy like Tobiasz Lee is wild too, but wild in maybe a more controlled way, if that makes sense. And he uses his wildness to win fights and often. And so does McNally, no doubt about it. But it's one of those, it's very similar to the McCorry fight for me. It's just a guy who at the moment is a little bit cleaner in his work, a little bit smoother. And in an even matchup, I think that's the sort of thing that wins out. Like if they get into a wild brawl, it's the guy that can pick off the shot. The guy who's been in that before, who can take that step back, wait for the other guy to come in, counter him and hit that shot. That's the guy who'll win that. And, that's what I see here. That's what I see with Lee, and that's why I'm picking him at plus 130 to win that one. All right, we're to the flyer of the week. And I think, as you can guess, if you watch my KSW preview, I really like Michal Martinek. I said again earlier about the type of fighter I like. And this is a heavyweight outside fighter. I compared him to Cyril Gane. And the bet I'm going for, again, I'm going for him to win by TKO KO at plus 500. But I think he'll either get the knockout or win the decision. I think one of the two of them is going to happen. And I'll just tell this to you now, whichever you like, right? Go and watch him, make your own mind up on this. To win the decision, he's also plus 500. So get the knockout plus 500, get the decision plus 500. I'm going for him to get the knockout, right? And I believe this is, let me just look here. I believe it is 3 rounds. It doesn't say, but I believe it is. I do think he will get the knockout, but I do think he will win, more importantly. His straight up price to win is plus 210. That's also another bet I'd go for. He's fighting Stosic, who fought in the UFC a few times and who's a dangerous fighter. But I really like Martinek in this one. If you haven't seen the preview, the way I look at it is Stosic is a very good inside fighter. When he knocks guys out, he barrels inside, gets him to fight with him in the pocket, forces a shot out, counters him and knocks him out inside. It's almost like a hockey brawl. He gets guys into and beats them there. Whereas Martinek is a more Cyril Gane type. Cool, calm customer on the outside. Dances around you, lands lovely shots. That straight left is absolutely beautiful. A technical, brilliant fighter. Good cardio. He can do it for 3 rounds. He's shown that before. A bit green on the ground, whereas if it does go there, you're looking advantage Stosic, and Stosic does have good takedowns, but he doesn't like going for him. He really doesn't. He should go for them more, unless you're betting against him, which if you're listening to this, maybe you are. So you probably hope he doesn't, but he doesn't go for them enough. And that's a good thing, because I think if he does, I think there could be trouble for Martinek. He's the type of guy, he turns good positions into bad positions on the ground. But if he gets on top, though, his ground and pound is very good and is very heavy. But you want this to stay standing. You want him to throw that extra set of a straight left right down the middle, and you want him to win that way. I think he will. I think Stosic will throw too much inside, wear himself out and end up catching one of the big left hands and get put out. So I love that plus 500. Maybe you double down. Maybe you back the decision as well. Or maybe you just back him straight up plus 210. I do think he'll win. I really like him in that fight. And that's it. That's the 5 bets. But let's look through some of the other bets for the week. UFC Fight Night. Maya versus Araujo. Maya is the favourite there, -163. I do like her there. I have a soft spot for Araujo. I just think maybe the Maya takedown, maybe her ability to maybe avoid the strikes and the athleticism of Araujo, take that out of the game might be a benefit for her there. What's the over? Not a great price on the over. Goes to decision -400. So I'd go with Maya. I think it's a pretty good price at -163. Love this Yanez Martinez fight. They're pretty much even here. Fight goes to a decision +120, so they're looking for a finish. Who's going to get it? Yanez, the favourite, +188 for the knockout. I think it's a close one. I will go with Yanez as my pick, but not massively confident. I was surprised when I saw the Petrosky-Pereira odds, -175 for Pereira. I really like that. I think that's the one to go for. Pereira to get the knockout is +200. Also like that. Look, if you think Pereira is no good and he's going to lose, +700 for the Petrosky knockout is not a bad one either. But no, I would go for... I'd probably go for Pereira plus straight up, or -175 straight up there. I like that. I also like the Cameron Simon fight against Christian Rodriguez. Again, this is actually a good card, to be honest. There's a lot of even matchmaking here on this one. He's +130. I'll go for him in that one. La Sierra Shairez. Shairez is the favourite, -333. I'll probably go for him then as well. Darren Elkins against TJ Brown. Elkins is the underdog, +150. I'd never bet against my boy Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins all the way, +150 there. Terence McKinney's a big favourite. Chinaro Lisboa is a big favourite. And Emily Ducote a big favourite over Ashley Yoder as well. You would expect all of them to get the win there, as you would with Chris Gutierrez over Haley Alatang. KSW then. We talked about the main event, Stosic versus Martinek. This fight, I've been humming and hawing over this fight for the last 2 days. Bricta against Skiminski. I've fallen in love with this Leo Bricta. I just think he's such a good fighter. But he is the underdog here, +163. I was talking to my guy Sean Dinny. I was like, geez, this guy Bricta is very good. He goes, he is, but do you know who else is very good? Roman Skamansky. And I'm like, it's true. My heart is telling me +163 is a great bet on Bricta. He really is. I just think he is fantastic, but I know Skiminski is fantastic as well. I'm going to avoid that one, but there you go. Hartek and Irslan the favourite, -130. I think that's a good price there as well, although Hartek has some good things about him. A couple of the other fights there, the straight up price again is said -175 for McNally, +130. Caretta +125, -163 for Stumer there. Ahmed Abdulirov -225. I think he will win against Shahil Siraja as well. So those are the main ones from there. And then Cage Warriors. I have the odds here. Let me just pull them up. Main event over there is Paul Hughes. We don't have the props for it yet, but the straight up money line bets there. He's -425. Yankee Higgins is +325. That is very wide. I think even Paul Hughes would agree that was very wide. I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago there, and he goes, Yankee Higgins is a very good fighter. I think that should be closer to maybe -300 for Paul Hughes, maybe +200 for Key Higgins or something around that. Would I bet in Key Higgins? Probably not. I do think Paul Hughes is going to win, and I think he's going to win well, but a -425 is just too much there for me. Mason Jones, Leon Lies. Honestly, Lies +375. If that was a little bit higher, it could have been my flyer of the week. Now, I bet him once before and I was wrong about it, so maybe I'll be wrong again. Mason Jones probably will win it. He is the favourite for me, but that price is too wide. Shelley Bakkes, we spoke about that, -180, +150. James Sheehan, a big favourite. Surprising he's this big of a favourite, -240 against +190. Ali Santalati. I like Ali. I think he's a very good fighter. I don't like him to win the fight necessarily, but I thought this might have been closer to -140 than -240 for Sheehan, if I'm being honest. So the value, I don't think the value's on Sheehan. I think the value's on Ali there. But having said that, is there value if James Sheehan wins? Probably not. I do think James Sheehan will win, but I would avoid betting on that. Leon Hill, late notice against Ewan Davis, -145 plus 115 for Davis. I like Hill in that one. I like his teammate Takamandu as well, -400. Again, I think that price is a little bit wide, plus 300 for Pirev, who will kick. If you're watching this fight, Pirev, he kicks and he kicks and he kicks and he kicks. He does nothing but kicking. He is a kicker. I think Taka will prey on that, and I think he will win it. McCorry and Kadi, we spoke about that. Obviously, -200 for McCorry. Plus 160 for Kadi, just too wide for me. I have to go for Kadi that. Nick Bagley, -700 plus 500 for Quinn. Solomon Simon plus 140. That's an interesting one against Marco Sarajavi, -170. Now, I wasn't able to find any tape whatsoever of Marco, and obviously I did a big preview for this, it being on in Ireland and everything. Couldn't find any tape on him. So I know Solomon Simon. I was actually at Solomon Simon's second ever amateur fight. Very good fighter, an improving fighter, a guy I think in 5 years will be a very, very good fighter. But I don't know, unless this guy is, I don't know where these odds are coming from, because I haven't been able to find any footage of this guy. I don't know where the bookmakers have, but that's the price. I like Jer Harris, -240. I think that is about right against Ryan Hewitt, who's a good fighter, plus 170. And the Sean Clancy fight, plus 300 to -400. I don't know a lot about Sheehan Clancy, but I threw it into one of my groups there, and one of the lads who would be in the no-go. I like that price. So let's keep an eye on that one. And let's see, maybe that will move. Maybe that's not a completely 100% official price on Sheehan Clancy yet. So maybe that will move, and during the week, keep an eye on that one. Right, let's recap the bets before I go. Ryan Shelley, -180. First bet straight up over Cage Warriors. Samir Kadi, plus 160 at Cage Warriors. Barboza Yusuff to go over 2.5 rounds, -125 in the main event in the UFC. And then in KSW, Tobiasz over Conor McNally, plus 130. And then in the main event, Martinek to win by TKO KO over KSW at plus 500 for my flyer of the week. All right, everyone, we're going to turn it around this week. Let me know your best bet in the comment section below. Let me know who you're betting on. Next week, we have a huge UFC pay-per-view card. Cannot wait for that. Actually, let me know who's going to win. Main event, Volkanovski and his opponent, Makhachev. The co-main event, Usman, just as before I recorded, Usman versus Chimaev. Let me know in the comment section below who you think is going to win both of them, and we'll talk about those bets next week. All right, everyone. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.